progressive activist in Seattle, upset with the city's sweep of a local homeless encampment, was asked whether she'd help to house any of the homeless. She said yes, even gave out her address, but she's not happy about what happened next. Time to strike up tonight's lightning round with KTTH Seattle talk radio host Jason Rantz. All right, Jason, where does this go from there?
I love this story. You've got a woman who was upset that an encampment that's clearly dangerous was being swept, and someone was down there, a friend of mine, who was filming it for his work, and he realized that this woman was clearly acting out in an inappropriate way, getting upset for the wrong reasons, and so he simply said, okay, well then can they go to your house? You don't want them swept. You don't think that they should go into shelters. Can they come to your place? She says yes. She gives out the address. And then almost immediately, within just a few hours, she goes on Facebook, or one of her housemates goes on Facebook to claim that she was doxxed because the address went out. Because the second that there's actually the threat of a homeless person coming to your neighborhood, well, all of a sudden, you got to roll things back. Can't actually have that happen.
I mean, she knew she was on video, correct or no?
Yes. No, she looked directly into the camera.
Okay, so that's what happens. All right, let's move on to, because you have so many good stories you always bring to the table here. So let's talk about this one with the school district policy in Washington State, one of these districts that wants teachers to not necessarily share all the information about their students with the students' parents. You write this in covering this story. It says the district's policy knowingly lies to parents about their son or daughter, potentially driving a bigger and unnecessary wedge between them. Staff must, quote, ask known transgender or gender expansive students how they would like to be addressed in class, in correspondence to the home, and at conferences with the student's parent/guardian. And Jason, I know in other places they say that there is a fear potentially of these kids being abused because of this information being shared. But most parents would say, if this is something my child is walking through, I'm the one who wants to walk through this with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the parent is always going to care more than a teacher about their own kid. That's not a knock on teachers, but it's certainly not appropriate to basically embed in these kids that it's okay to lie, that you're going through something that is emotionally taking its toll on you. And now we're forcing you essentially to live two separate lives, the life that you have in the classroom and a life that you have with your parents. How about instead of keeping everyone separate and tearing them apart, we try to bring people together? I don't buy this argument that there is the level of abuse concerns. I think it's more along the lines of teachers not wanting parents to get involved and maybe ask them a little bit more deeply as to whether or not they actually do have a gender identity concern. I think this is partisan and political, and I think it's wrong. You're using these kids as political pawns.
Well, it seems like any major life event is going on in your child's life. That's something that the parent should know about. Okay, so Let's go on to this guy, Christopher Brown. He's accused of following a woman, calling her by slurs, punching her in the face again and again. He's been accused of doing things like sexually harassing and exposing himself to all other kinds of women around the Seattle center. And yet to date, he's now in jail. But he hasn't been there very often based on all that's gone on. What's the deal with his case?
Yeah, so this guy has 8 misdemeanor cases against him, and then he had 1 recent felony charge against him. And yet he's only served, as best as we can tell, about 81 days in jail. Part of the reason that happens is because we have standards that are set by the state legislature that basically says, based on the number of points you get as a result of how many crimes you're committed, you get either a light sentence or a more severe sentence. But when we're looking at the offender score, misdemeanors don't count. Okay. So 1 felony doesn't get you that much time in jail.
Okay, we're going to follow his case, and we know you will as well. So please keep us updated. Always great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right.